All right, everybody, here we go. It's Monday night. You know what that means. Where has your favorite podcasters gone? Well, they're right here, by God. Welcome to Mikey and the Mad Dog. I am Mad Dog DeCipio. He is Mikey Messier. And we got some stories for you. We got some strong opinions. And by God, from time to time, we even have a guest or two. So tonight, get by your radio or your favorite TV or streaming service. Crank that mother humper up because Mikey and I are going to get loud, walk proud, and talk about something tonight that is near and dear, by God, to both of our hearts, the world of professional wrestling. Mikey, how the hell are you, my friend?
I'm
It's
doing
been a
very
couple of
well.
minutes.
It's been a few days, and here we are on Monday night. And pro wrestling has been associated with Monday night for about 30 years. But we're going to talk about pro wrestling films tonight, Angelo. And I think it's a great topic that you brought to the table, and I'm looking forward to going back and forth with you about it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We used to do, for those of you that are new, and thank you. Thankfully, we do have new viewers all the time listening to this show, and our numbers prove it, and we're very grateful for it. But those of you that are new to us, there's something you need to know. Mikey and I actually started this puppy many, many years ago. Mikey was my first guest when we had Wrestling with the Future. And Jeff the Ref Robinson, rest his soul. Jeff's no longer with us, but he's always here in spirit. I think about Jeff all the time. This guy was like, I used to call him Mikey the Encyclopedia Britannica of wrestling. This guy, what a mind for wrestling he had. And this would be a show that Jeff would really have liked to do. Wrestling in the movies. Now, Mikey, you're a movie guy.
Sure.
And you're not only a wrestling fan, but you're an actor, a director. You've used wrestlers in some of your movies. You live very close to to Wrestling Central in Florida,
Right.
Jacksonville area, and so you've got the WWE not far. You've got AEW, but practically right up the street from your house. So it's not too terribly far fetched to say that you are at the epicenter of a lot of what we'll talk about tonight. At least from a wrestling standpoint. Tomorrow, we're really going to get into the nuts and bolts. We
Right.
might even go into the weeds tomorrow night, Mikey.
Nuts, bolts, and
So,
weeds.
yeah, right. So, Mikey, tonight we're going to talk about our favorite wrestling movies or even wrestling movies that we didn't particularly care for.
Sure.
And I have a little bit of both. I want you to start this off,
All right.
and we'll go like we'll do like maybe a couple of each, and then go back and forth. Is that how you'll do this?
Yeah, sounds good. I made two lists. Actually, I guess I made three lists. I made my honorable mentions slash also rans slash movies that other people might list, but I didn't list. So the list of the non-listed, I should say, and then the two lists that, that I'm really going to promote are the documentary top five and the narrative top five. And for those that I think everyone knows the difference, but narrative is basically a film with a script and actors portraying roles, and documentary traditionally is of actual footage and actual people. So
Right.
my number five documentary is someone we're both familiar with. One of the guys behind it, Evan Ginsberg from your area, Angelo, and he did something called 350 Days, which made my number five on the doc list. This was a fun film. My buddy Ox Baker's in it. A lot of interviews with guys from the 70s and 80s and 90s, and it's really a nice reminder of the territory system. And for those that don't know, the territory system, I guess, goes back to the 1940s, maybe even
Yeah.
earlier, and into the mid 80s, when basically WWF and WCW, by the end of the 80s decade, it was a two circus choice, two choices for wrestling. But until
Yeah.
then, you had the territory days, and the term 350 days, it's one of those titles. If anything I could improve upon the movie would be the title, because I think it's one of those titles where you have to see the movie to understand what the title means. But
Yeah.
basically, the thought is that these pro wrestlers, the Greg Valentines, the Kevin Von Erichs, Tito Santana's back in those territory days, they were wrestling about 350 days a year out of 360,
Yeah.
365 days. They're wrestling the vast majority of the days and having very few days off for family or friends or anything outside of wrestling. And it's a great documentary. I give Edvin and the team a lot of credit for it, and that's what made my number 5 doc on the list there.
Terrific. How about your number 4? What do you got on number 4?
Number 4.
Let's do 5 and 4, and then I'll do a couple.
Okay, so number 4 on the documentary list. It's kind of a double whammy here, and I'll explain why. There's 2 movies mentioned for number 4: Barbed Wire City and The Rise and Fall of ECW. So The Rise and Fall of ECW, probably more people have seen it. That's the official WWE documentary that was released on DVD. The success of that DVD led to the first One Night Stand pay-per-view, and then they had a second one in 2006, and then they launched ECW as a third brand. And in a very roundabout way, that's why we have NXT these days, because the WWE tried to reboot ECW as a third brand. So this rise and fall of ECW, in a sense, it gave birth to NXT in a very odd way, but it did. And that's a very good DVD. But if you want something a little bit grittier and a little bit more somber in tone, Barbed Wire City is an independent documentary that came out just around the same time. And it had more of a focus on guys like Shane Douglas and Raven, guys that weren't particularly well liked by WWE. And it's another great documentary. It also has a lot of focus on the New York shows for ECW. So it's just a different look at ECW with different interviews. I think New Jack was interviewed quite a bit for Barbed Wire City. And I was actually left on the cutting room floor, Angelo. I'm a little upset about it. But I went to the Extreme Rising show in Philadelphia in 2012, and New Jack actually interrupted my interview, and I thought it was good television, but they did not include that in Barbed Wire City. But nonetheless,
oh man,
nonetheless, I'm putting this on the list for number 4, the combined 2 ECW docs.
As a side note, New Jack stayed here at my house with me for 3 days. Wow. Jerome was a good guy, but Jerome, God rest his soul, didn't know how to be Jerome Young. He was very uncomfortable in his own skin, and I hope he's at peace now. Mikey, I too made a 2 list. I made a documentary list, and then I made a mainstream list. So, and it's funny, it's one of the first film you talk about, 350 Days, that's also that's number 1 on my documentary list for a couple of reasons. I have a direct connection to that film. The gentleman who supplied all of the photographs for that movie, it's a very dear friend of mine. I've known him for 30 years. His name is Eric Rosen. They call him the Wrestling Maven. Eric is a great guy, and Evan Ginsberg is a friend, and I know Evan. One of the things about that film is it's a lot of it, if you don't understand wrestling, and I think you might agree with this, Mikey, a lot of it is very like inside.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very inside. Like if you're not a wrestling fan and you're just like a casual kind of viewer, you're going to look and go and think to yourself, what are they talking about? Or you won't get the reference. For example, you brought the perfect example, the title, 350 Days. And now it's more like, 364 days because these guys, they maybe get a day off. The other on my documentary list is a film, again, I have a connection to. It was produced by Joe Panzarino and the late Gino Moore, my friend Gino, and it was called Card Subject to Change.
Okay.
And it is a film about the independent wrestling scene on the East Coast of the United States, from Maine to Florida. New Jersey and Pennsylvania are at the epicenter of that. and much of it took place in Philadelphia at the then ECW Arena, what they call now the 2300 Arena.
Right.
And it took place at independent shows in New Jersey, of which Gino Moore and Joe Panzerino, also known as Dapper Johnny Falco in his wrestling persona, in which they promoted their shows, and they introduced us to people like Nick Cage, Matt the Bulldozer Tremont, King of the Death Matches. They introduced us to people like Trent Acid, God rest his soul, he's gone too. And they also introduced us to other people like Tom Brandy, a.k.a. The Patriot, a.k.a. Salvatore Sincere. So I have a connection to both of those films, and I can speak objectively, critically about both. There were good things about both, and there were bad things about both. The one thing that I would say unilaterally about both movies is that they failed to see the bigger picture. And rather than concentrate on their own, for lack of a better term, Mikey, their own promotions.
Right.
I would have liked to see more expansive coverage of, for example, competitor promotions, or promotions outside of my immediate area.
Right.
But other than that, I think they did a pretty decent job. Card subject to change, and of course, some very notables were in that movie, like Jim Cornette was in the film. Jim Ross was also in the film. Shane Douglas in the movie. Bruno Sammartino was in the film. So we're talking about a film that was done probably, I'm wanting to say, I think they did this around 20, maybe 13 or 14, somewhere around. It might have even been earlier.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, I'm going to find out right now, because I should have it here. 2012, yeah, here you go. 2012. Card subject to change. 2012. So yeah, it's going back a few years.
Yeah.
So that's my some of my doc list.
All right. If we want, we can switch over to the narrative list and then go back and forth.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
For number 5, people might be surprised to hear me say this, but I'm going to go with a WWE associated film, and even a wrestler that I'm not the biggest fan of, but Saraya, or also known as Paige, fighting with my family, and it's a good movie. And this is a movie that I think for the younger kids, who see Paige, and depending on how young of a kid people are, Paige might be a veteran to them, but or she might be like to us, she's still pretty young. But Paige, or Saraya, has had an interesting life, and this movie came out in 2019. I believe she wasn't even with the company at the exact moment the movie came out, which was Paige was kind of in a situation with her then boyfriend or even husband, and she was kind of on the outs with the WWE, but they had already started to make this movie about her, and it's a good movie. Vince Vaughn plays a trainer from NXT. I mean, there's obviously some stretching of the truth here.
You think?
Yeah, but Florence Pugh played Saraya, played Paige. And the guy that played her brother, that looks to be Zach Knight, he did a great job in this movie as well. So I thought it was good. So Wrestling with My Family, Paige, the Saraya story. Did you happen to see that one, Angelo?
I have. There's a couple of them that I put side by side. Fighting with My Family was interesting. One of them. And the one I put next to it, and it may be kind of a sleeper film for a lot of people, but let's see if you remember this one, Mikey. It was called Vision Quest.
Now that's about real
amateur wrestling. Yes, sir.
Like,
Yep.
yes, yeah, with
Yeah.
Madonna and Crazy for You makes an appearance in that one.
Yeah. And I believe Vision Quest, I believe, may have been C. Thomas Howell or Matthew Modine.
It's Modine. It's Modine.
Modine. I always, for some reason, Mikey, I always get these two. I don't know why, because they look nothing like each other. But I always get them confused. Yeah, Vision Quest and Fighting with My Family. The other one, Mike, I had an honorable mention here just to throw it in.
Sure.
It's called The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie. If you guys have never seen it out there, I highly encourage you. I think I can safely say that it's on the Mad Dog's honorable mention list. Peanut Butter Falcon is about a young man with Down syndrome who dreams of becoming a pro wrestler, and it features, I think the Shia LaBeouf, I believe, and I think the woman is actually Don Johnson's daughter, Dakota Johnson.
It is Dakota Johnson from 50 Shades of Grey.
And I don't know the young man who it's his introducing introducing as. It's his first film. I think it might be maybe his only one or two films. The young man that has the Down syndrome. I don't even know his. I'm sorry, fella, whoever you are. I don't know your name.
Zach Gustafson. Zach?
Oh,
Zach
okay.
Gottsagen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Mikey, I didn't even know. I didn't even know. And I was, thankfully, at 67 years of age, my mind is not totally mush yet. So I remembered LaBeouf and Dakota Johnson.
Jake the Snake and Mick Foley have cameos in that one, too.
Yeah, right. Mikey, what do you got? What do you got? What's next on your on the hit parade?
On the number 4. Now this one I put on the narrative list, but it's kind of it depends on how you see it, if it's narrative or documentary. But I put it on my narrative list because there's acting involved. Sting, Moment of Truth from 2004. This was a movie that Sting, Steve Borden, basically. It's about his life and his career, and there's some reenactments with young Sting and young Ultimate Warrior as they were the tag team. What were they called? When they were the Power Team USA, they were a tag team together. But in any event, Sting.
The
Blade Runners. The Blade Runners.
Yes. There you go.
Right. So
both of them were jacked to the sky.
Yeah, I think in various scenes, Sting plays himself in various in scenes, and this is actually it's kind of too bad Angel Studios wasn't around to help distribute this when it came out because it is a Christian type of movie. But the Stinger, I thought he did a good job of telling his story, and he gets personal. He doesn't try to be perfect or think he is perfect, and admits to some failings as a human being in this one. And so it made my list. If you haven't seen it, if you're a fan of 90s wrestling or 80s wrestling or Sting, check out Sting, Moment of Truth, 2004.
Mikey, my next one is a departure in that it's in a very unique genre. This is from the Mexican lucha libre genre. And this film I've actually seen. It is both hilariously funny and has some of the greatest wrestling action you'll ever see on film. And that combination means there's only 2 people in it are worth seeing. The late, great El Santo and Mil Mascaras. And the film is called Mil Mascaras versus the Aztec Mummy.
Okay.
And it's an interesting film. It was done in 2007. When Mascaras, by the way, was not a young guy, but he could still go. You don't know. You never. Nobody ever really knew what he looked like because he used to wear a mask under a mask.
Right.
And you never saw Mascaras without a mask on. It's an interesting film because it takes place both 50% equally in the arena as it does in the, for lack of a better word, Mikey, the Aztec burial grounds. It's an interesting.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way, Mikey. In that category, just so you understand what we're talking about,
Nice.
El Santo versus the Martian invasion.
Right.
El Santo versus the Black Demon. Mil Mascara's resurrection. Blue Demon versus the Satanic Powers. This is the kind of stuff that you got to remember something. When you're talking about Mexican lucha libre, it's inextricably tied to superstitions and spiritualism. But Mil Mascaras versus the Aztec Mummy was just straight out campy, fun, with great wrestling. And as an honorable mention, our friend Shane Douglas in Wrestlers versus the Zombies. There you go.
Yes, I've heard of that one. I haven't seen it yet, but I heard that that's pretty good. So that's good. Yeah, I did watch some of the AAA, the WWE AAA show yesterday, which was August 30th, 2026, for those watching in the future. But yeah, it's interesting. Do you have any thoughts on the WWE buying AAA, Angelo? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I'm going to tell you why. I think WWE used to have the Midas touch when Vince was in charge.
Yeah.
Now everything they touch turns brown.
Okay.
Case in point, my favorite wrestling radio show, Busted Open Radio, is now no longer Busted Open Radio. It's now WWE Radio, and it is so utterly sanitized that, Dave LaGreca, who I know and has been a guest on this show probably 4 times, 5 times. Dave, I can just imagine, he's a passionate wrestling fan. Very, very passionate about wrestling. He's sitting there, he has to, his hands are tied. He's got to watch what he says. He's got to watch his P's and Q's. They must have paid him a ridiculous amount of money to buy his network at Sirius, because he owned it.
Right.
He owned his network. And they came in with all their, with their deep pockets, Mikey,
Yeah.
They don't mind. Look, I will say this about WWE and TKO Endeavor. They don't mind throwing some cash around for something they want.
Right, it was an interesting choice for them to pick up AAA, but so far, I believe The Undertaker, Mark Callis, is doing the booking, and so far people are enjoying it. Now, will that turn around in 6 months? Will they bring back Michelle McCool to win the AAA women's title, and then everybody will be upset about it? Who knows? But as of now, they're doing pretty good. They had a good angle with El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano, and they're doing stuff with Dominic Mysterio now. So we'll see what happens. But I asked that because you had El Santo, and sometimes, Angelo, you see people on social media do the who's your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling, and you'll see people say Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels. And every time I see some type of list that's so sanitized like that, I'm like, okay, well, maybe El Santo, Antonio Inoki, Rico Dozan, and Gorgeous George. How about that? And then you've just gone 1,000 miles over these people's heads when you actually put some truth into the story. But in any event, I'll go to
it's a great observation. It's a hell of an observation, Mikey, for real.
Yeah,
when you start, mentioning to some of these younger guys, people like, greatest heel ever, Bulldog Brower, greatest babyface ever, Bruno Sammartino, greatest heel turn, superstar Billy Graham. It's like they don't know. But they're babies, they're babies in the business. They don't understand. Or they have such a narrow mind, and maybe, Mikey, we could get into that tomorrow if you want to.
Sure.
They have a narrow understanding of what wrestling is because of WWE. To a lot of people, WWE is wrestling. They don't understand that there was the AWA, NWA, WCW, GWF, NWF, the
IWA.
AEW now. Yeah, New Japan, All Japan. There were. I just rattled off 8 promotions off the top of my head.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
WWE is wrestling to a lot of people. I
It
digress,
is.
Mike.
It is, and that's unfortunate. And the people that are missing out on are really themselves. Those people that don't take the time to look into other things. But here's
Yeah.
a recommendation on my documentary list. If they really, and once again, I'm giving the WWE half credit here because number 3, I've got a double listing like I did for number 4 with ECW. Number 3, independent feature documentary, Heroes of World Class, the story of the Von Erichs. And also, around the same time, once again, WWE released The Triumph and Tragedy of World Class Professional Wrestling. And once again, 2 documentaries about the same subject matter. There's a very, very emotional scene at the end of the first one I mentioned when Kevin Von Erich visits the remains of that old reunion arena where they used to wrestle, I think every Friday or Saturday night. And the place is really in shambles. And Kevin's just kind of going around to the dressing room and walking around and telling everybody about what it was like to be there. And, this story has been told a million times in a million ways, but for the people that really want to get a taste, if they're younger fans especially, I can't recommend enough both of these documentaries, Heroes of World Class, the story of the Von Erichs, which is the independent feature, and the WWE did a really nice job with their DVD, The Triumph and Tragedy of World Class Professional Wrestling. They're both worth watching.
Mikey, you mentioned Reunion Arena. Are you sure it wasn't the Sportatorium you were talking about?
Yeah, could have. I've always gotten that mixed up, to tell you the truth. What was it? The Sportatorium that was the weekly television show?
Yeah, the place, because I saw the film you're talking about, Heroes of World Class. That was Kevin Von Erich was getting quite emotional. That was the Sportatorium.
Okay.
Because his father, Fritz Von Erich, and a guy named Ed McLemore co-owned the Sportatorium.
Right.
So it was. In fact, in the movie, he brought the camera to what would have been Fritz's office in the film there. So yes, I agree with you. It is a must see if you are in any way, shape, or form a fan of world class. Southwestern Championship Wrestling, because I'll tell you what, man, there was some great wrestling down there. I have a documentary I want to talk to you about. It's number 3 on my doc list, and it's called Beyond the Mat.
Yep.
Beyond the Mat was done by, I believe, his name was. Marty Blaustein, I think was that
Barry
his name?
Was it
Barry Blaustein, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Barry, yes. I thought it was Marty, but you're right, it was Barry, absolutely. Barry, yeah, he did a hell of a job with this film because it was truly independent in that it was one of the very few times you saw Vince McMahon in a film that was not WWE financed. Right. It was a truly independent wrestling documentary that took us back in time to people like Gentleman Chris Adams, and followed people like Jake the Snake Roberts in a not so great period in his life.
Right.
And a lot of the people you saw in Beyond the Mat were guys, arguably your friend, your God rest his soul, your late friend, you know,
New Jack. New Jack.
no, I forgot his name already. Oh my God, Ox Baker.
Oh, Ox Baker. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Ox. I don't know. I just, for some reason, I just had a brain fart. Ox
Yeah,
Baker, like Mr. Fu Manchu. This guy, folks, if you've never seen Ox Baker, had the best Fu Manchu in the world, man.
yeah,
It was big, long, and full.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Mikey did the eulogy at Ox's service. That was a hell of a movie. It was worth it just to see Ox Baker try to cook 2 pounds of ground meat in a pan this big.
Right, right,
You
right.
know,
Yes,
it was a really decent film. I enjoyed it. I thought it covered the independent, especially the independent world of wrestling. It was the first time that a lot of people were introduced to something called ECW, Extreme
right.
Championship Wrestling. Um, I used to work for that promotion before it became ECW. It was called Tri-State Wrestling with Joel Goodhart,
Yes.
who was a very dear friend. Um, and the other film on my doc list is, oh, here you go. It's a film called, oh, here it is. It's a film called You Can't Kill David Arquette.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. I've seen this one.
So, if you guys don't know who David Arquette is, he played Sheriff Dewey in Scream. He also played a wannabe wrestler in
Ready to Rumble.
the Ready to Rumble. Yeah, that. Let's get ready to rumble. What's that? Michael Buffer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a hell of a movie. That was a funny movie. Along with Scott Conn, the late James Caan's son.
Right.
Yeah. So, but that film, You Can't Kill David Arquette, was interesting. Is a guy who doesn't need the money,
Right.
but for the love of wrestling, decided he's going to invest, make the commitment to become a professional wrestler.
Right.
And he proceeds to do so, even though his wife was and kids were really none too happy about
Yeah.
it at
Yeah.
all. At all. Mikey, what did you think of the David Arquette film?
I remember watching this movie during the pandemic. I was at a restaurant that I was always at, like almost 3 or 4 times a week. I'd go to this restaurant and sit there for hours on end. I'd even do podcasts out of the restaurant with my headphones. And I sat there and I watched that entire movie about David Arquette. And what I took away from it is I actually felt bad for David Arquette. I mean, he's got a gorgeous wife. He's from this Hollywood family of Rosanna and Patricia Arquette, these wonderful sister actresses that he has. And but yet the guilt is that he feels guilty that he was given the WCW World Championship in the year 2000 for the Ready to Rumble promotion. And he's felt guilt about this for 25 years. So now he's going to do a death match and he almost gets killed trying to redeem himself. And I'm
Yeah.
just thinking, man, you've got a gorgeous wife, or at least a gorgeous ex-wife. I don't know if they're still together, him and Courtney Cox.
They actually are.
Well, what are you doing trying to prove yourself to a bunch of marks? Like, what are you doing thinking that you've got to validate yourself to a bunch of wrestling fans that either have forgiven you like I have? I mean, I never, from what I understand, Arquette donated his earnings from that WCW title run to the families of Brian Pillman and Owen Hart. So I've never had anything against David Arquette. So
It's an interesting. It's like I was saying before. Like Mikey, he really made the commitment to do it for real. He got trained. He went. He took. Look, called spade a spade. He took his bumps. You got to give the guy credit for that. But to your point, you don't need to do this. Why are you doing this? We know it's a work.
Well, why did
Why are
he do
you
a death
getting?
match?
Yeah, why? For real? Yeah, but brother, he got busted up in that match.
Well,
It's
he almost,
interesting that you
yeah.
talk about that particular match because I thought for sure, I really, honest to God, I really thought for sure that he was going to end up with some serious problems. Because I mean, he got beat down, brother. He got beat
Well,
down
he
bad.
got cut with a piece of glass near his throat. So it's like, there wasn't
Yeah.
this is not wrestling. This is garbage wrestling, and you can even take the
Mm-hmm.
wrestling word out of it, and just it's just garbage at times. And but
Yeah.
I mean, I just felt like, hey man, you're looking for forgiveness from people that are never going to give it to you. The wrestling fan
Yeah.
is never going to give you the respect that you want, and if they did, so what? You know what I mean? Go back to your beautiful wife. Go back to your beautiful house, like the Talking Head songs. Like, David, this is your beautiful life. This is your wonderful wife. Go back
Right.
to it, man. But I'll
Jeez.
I'll go to my next number two on my doc list. Angelo is
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling with Shadows. This chronicles the Bret Hart's 1997 and Bret Hart's story and Bret Hart's Montreal Screwjob experience. And if you like Bret Hart, or if you like WWF, the kind of the cusp between the new generation era and the attitude era, and if you like things like the Hart Foundation of 97 with Owen and Bulldog and Pillman and Anvil and Bret, and if you like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Austin 316, 1997 was a great year for pro wrestling in general, and for Bret Hart, he's often said it was his best year in wrestling, and this gives you the whole story of Bret Hart in 1997. I really love this documentary.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's also on my list, so there's no sense in rehashing that. I will add to it, though, that I thought it was the greatest piece of work, and I'm going to call it a work because I don't believe for one moment, nor do you, I think, Mikey, believe
No,
for one moment that Vince McMahon would purposely allow a camera crew in at the same time he knows that he has to get rid of his biggest star because allegedly he, quote, cannot afford to keep him. Who's anybody buying? Are you buying this? I did not from day one buy that story. And
well,
I still don't.
I mean, I know that Kevin Nash would agree with you, Angelo, and he said that for the record, but I
Oh
tend to
yeah.
believe I tend to believe that what we saw, as the story goes, until it's proven to me that it was a big work, I think Bret, spitting the big haktui on Vince, and I do think it was legitimate. I mean, look at the aftermath. Bret, the British Bulldog, Jim the Anvil, Rick Rude, they all ended up going over to WCW. Brian Adams as well. So that's
Mm-hmm.
five guys I think I just named that jumped promotion because of the Montreal Screwjob.
Yep.
I don't think Bret. In my opinion, Bret's not to blame if we take it at face value, because he had a contract that said he could do what he wants, and Vince wanted to break the contract. Nobody seems to blame Vince for breaking the contract. I mean, this is old stuff. We've gone through this a million times, but I like Beyond the Mat. I tend to believe the screw job was a screw job, but like everything else, we'll never know for sure.
My next documentary of my top five is number four, and it's called Deathmatch. And it contains some independent wrestlers and some notables, among them New Jack and Axel Rotten from ECW. But it also this film houses a friend of mine from this area named Matthew Matt the Bulldog Tremont. They call him the King of the Death Matches, and he is He is fiercely popular in Japan and the Far East, where death matches are the norm. They're the run of the mill. There, over here, they're a big deal. But it introduces us again to people like Nick Cage, Ricky Ratchet, Matt Tremont, Trent Acid, the late Trent Acid, guys that for the sake of the audience pleasure would subject themselves to like weed whackers and fluorescent light bulb tubes like the kind that Mikey's reaching for now.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't care for death matches per se, but I think this film highlights why these people do it. It's like Matt Tremont said, there's an audience out there for everything.
Right.
We're just giving them what they want. And look, you can't argue with it. 'Cause look, they're doing it. AEW's giving the people what they want. WWE's giving their audience what they want. All right. The next on my, and I have an honorable mention. It's a short honorable mention. And it's a film called The Wrestler. It's kind of semi-autobiographical. It's called a feature, but it's really not a feature. It stars Ed Asner,
Yes.
and the actor. But the film is basically, the star of the film really is Vern Gagne, a young Greg Gagne, Mike Graham, Eddie Graham, Billy Robinson, these old, the old stalwarts of the AWA. Essentially, it's a 2-hour promotion for the AWA starring all those people plus one Mr. Dusty Rhodes and one Mr. Dick Murdoch.
Yes.
Doing nothing but getting in the bar fights the whole movie. But anyway, that's the honorable mention. What's your next one, Mikey?
If I could just say something about The Wrestler, that one was close to making my list as well. The 1973 Wrestler. There's a really great actress who plays Ed Asner's love interest.
Yes.
Elaine Giftos, who's quite a attractive woman. She kind of has a very Mary Tyler Moore appeal, but she plays the secretary in the wrestling office, and I just had to put a little shout out to her.
Oh, absolutely. She was a hottie for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hard-Boiled Haggerty is in The Wrestler.
I love that guy. Oh, my God. I love Hard-Boiled Haggerty.
He was also in another movie that was kind of on my non-list, Mickey and Maude. That's not a wrestling movie.
That's on my list, you bastard.
Oh, sorry.
That's on my list. We'll talk about it anyway.
I'll let you talk about that one. I'll let you lead. But
we'll talk about it anyway. It's a hell of a movie.
Let me get to the number 3 on my narrative list is a new one. It's called The Queen of the Ring. And this came out not too long ago. I believe it was 2022. I want to double check of that.
Mikey, is that the Mildred Burke film?
It is. It is.
Oh, okay. Got it.
This came out, and actually it's 2024. Jim Cornette is in it. He plays a promoter. But this movie was really quite good, and it's a long movie. It's over 2 hours long, but I enjoyed it, and I thought it was I saw it in the theater, and the woman that played Mildred, she did a great job. Emily Bett Ricards as Mildred Burke.
Yes.
And I thought it was a fun movie. There was also some wrestlers in this movie. We had, let me see, Martin Cove as Al Haft, Trinity Fatu as Ethel Johnson, Mickey James as the Fabulous Moolah, Dr. Britt Baker was in it, Tony Storm is in it, and James Cornette played an NWA commissioner. And but I thought this movie, I mean, one thing about, I've been on movie sets, Angelo, with various budgets, and I'm kind of good about seeing like what a budget was for a film. And
Yeah.
it's not
Hmm.
an insult to this movie, but you can kind of tell that they were fighting for every dollar they had on this film. You know what I mean? And I thought they did a really good job with it being a period piece with not the biggest budget. So I like The Queen of the Ring. I thought it was a good one.
I have not yet seen that. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I did not want to see it in the theater only because I didn't want to be disappointed about a wrestling movie. And there's so many wrestling movies, Mikey, are really disappointing because one of the main reasons you just mentioned it, a lot of them don't have the big budget.
Right.
It's really required. I have my final documentary film. I had to put two on the same line because they were equally compelling. The first was The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts.
All right.
It came out in 2015. Documentary. Again, I mentioned earlier that in Beyond the Mat, Jake was at not such a great point in his life, and this film, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, takes us with Diamond Dallas Page, kind of resurrecting Jake from basically from the dead, essentially, to where he's was invited to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
The next film next to that is again semi documentary in style, semi autobiographical. It's a film much like the Mildred Burke story. In fact, Mildred Burke herself is in this movie. She was 80, I think 80 years old or pushing 80 when she was in it. It's called Below the Belt. It's a film about female wrestlers.
Okay.
And it stars a woman named Jean O'Brien. You don't know that name, but she used to wrestle under the name Tommy Dukes back in the 50s and 60s. The other names that you might recognize from this are Len Denton. If you don't know who Len Denton is, he played Luca Brasi in The Godfather. I'm sorry, not Len Denton. Lenny Montana. Lenny Montana played Luca Brasi in The Godfather. He's the big the big guy with the kind of like brick looking head. If you guys haven't seen The Godfather, who spends all day practicing, how to speak to the Don Corleone.
Right.
You just have to see that scene. I'm not going to try and do that here because Mikey is an acting teacher and he'll critique me. Um, um, so what's on your next on the next narrative list you have there, Mike?
On the next narrative list, this one is very controversial. I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but a lot of people were upset that there was omissions of certain characters. But this movie, to me, did a great job in a 2-hour theatrical format telling a story that really demands a series. And so I think one day maybe that'll happen, but I wish more people gave this movie a chance. The Iron Claw, which we talked about the documentaries of the Von Erichs, but I feel that the cast did a nice job. I thought the director did a nice job. And I feel like the Iron Claw, what people were upset about is that the character, the real life Chris Von Erich, was not in the movie. And they felt that that was disrespectful to the dead. And I understand that point of view. But the other thing is based on true events. That's the difference between a narrative film and a documentary. This was not claiming to be a documentary. This was a narrative film, and the filmmaker, the writer, decided that he just couldn't fit another suicide of a young man into this movie without the audience walking away depressed. I mean, there's already 2 suicides in the movie. So in my opinion, Zac Efron is Kevin Von Erich. A lot of people were surprised that Zac Efron got so beefed up, they thought he was playing Carrie. Jeremy Allen White, who's much smaller, played Carrie. So
Yeah.
people were upset about that. But once again, I mean, it's not a documentary. It's based on true events. It's a biopic. It's a narrative. I really enjoyed The Iron Claw myself.
I enjoyed it as well, and I will tell you that I know a little bit about why they chose Jeremy Allen White to play Kerry, because he photographed facially much better for Kerry. Physiologically, you're absolutely right. Much smaller frame, smaller. Although they did beef him up for the movie, he certainly did not maintain that. But Zac Efron, who was basically played like the main character, he played Kevin. Yes, certainly Kevin was, I think, arguably the skinniest of all the Von Erichs. For sure, at least the ones that survived anyway, and there weren't all but him.
Yeah, he's the
The
only
other
one.
thing, yeah, yeah. I will tell you, I enjoyed that movie because for one reason. Well, a couple of reasons, but the biggest reason I enjoyed it is I thought that whoever cast the film did an amazing job of facial recognition of the Von Erichs. The guy that played the father was brilliant. He looked like Fritz.
Yes.
He had the voice down. He had Fritz's characterizations. The woman who played the mother looked like Mrs. Von Erich. I thought they did a really good job of maintaining the likenesses. Okay, so, Zac Efron, as Kevin. Okay, but they maintained Kevin's naivety
Right.
with that. I think arguably people could say that Kerry was probably the best looking, the best built, and probably the smartest of those that survived up to that point. Mike had passed away. David had passed away. It would be Kerry that would be next to pass, or Chris. No, it would be
Carrie,
Kerry, and then
Carrie was
I
the last one to die. Carrie was the last brother to die in
yeah.
92.
Well,
So
they had a young brother. What was his name? Was Chris,
Jack,
right?
no, Jack was the one that died at age 5. Chris,
Oh, he was electrocuted. Yes, yes,
right.
yes.
This is the order of death. Jack at age 5. David in January of 84. Mike via suicide in 87. Chris, I think in 91 or 92 via suicide, and
Yeah.
Carrie in 93 via suicide, and then Kevin lived. So
So 5 brothers, 4 took their own lives. One was electrocuted.
yeah,
Well, the 6 brothers, but the 5-year-old died by electrocution, right?
electrocution, stepping in a puddle of water in the backyard,
Water, yeah.
electrical cord
Yeah,
or something.
apparently it was something wasn't grounded. Is that what happened, right?
Right,
Something.
electrical wire in the puddle. The kid stepped in the puddle and died.
Yeah. Are we still with you, Michael? Oh, yeah. Well, I think we're with me now, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so now my list. Again, now this one here, this is kind of a light-hearted wrestling film that I enjoyed, and thankfully it's on Tubi TV on demand. You can watch it anytime you want. Called Body Slam with Dirk Benedict, the late Tony Katane, the Captain Lou Albano, Billy Barty, Alpha and Sika the Wild Simone, a very young Tonga kid, and a very much younger Rowdy Roddy Piper in this film.
yes.
Now, Mike, you're a movie guy. There was another early Rowdy Roddy Piper movie that featured Henry Winkler. Do you know what that film was called?
The one and only.
That's the one. Do you ever know what part Rowdy Roddy Piper played in that?
I don't. Was he a referee or an opponent or what was he?
No, he played an opponent. He was the All American facing the German, Henry Winkler's German character. He gets hit with a helmet. Piper takes the bump, and Winkler pins him for the count.
Nice, nice.
Oh, the whole scene lasted about 5 to 8 seconds. It was a very short scene. Um, let's see, Body Slam. If you haven't seen Body Slam, it's about a music producer, music promoter who can't get work booking bands because he's got such a horrible reputation of borrowing money and not paying it back. So he overhears Roddy Piper talking to this guy about, work. So Dirk Benedict overhears the conversation and says, "Oh, okay, well, sounds okay. I got dollar signs, in front of my face now." So he ends up bullshitting his way into becoming a wrestling manager. The rest is comedy gold. It is an amazingly funny film with quite a bit actually, of realism in it. All the wrestling stunts were coordinated by Roddy Piper and Tonga Kid, as I understand, and some of the honorable mention in it: Bruno Sammartino, Adnan El Casey, Freddie Blassie. Who am I missing, Mikey? Ric Flair sitting next to Bruno, who they hated each other.
Right.
And I think that's probably it.
Well,
But and behind Bruno, honorable mention in the audience behind Bruno, Big Bob Dunkham,
oh yeah.
Big Bobby Dunkham.
Yep.
The next movie, again, just kind of as a side mention, is a film that starred Peter Falk as a wrestling manager called All the Marbles, with the real life wrestling team of the Jumpin' Bomb Angels. If you've not seen it, it's a heck of a movie. It's been released under two different names. It was called All the Marbles, and the other name that they released it under, and I want to get it right here because I don't want to screw it up.
Sure.
The
California Dolls.
Oh, here it is. The California Dolls. That's it. Yes, it was released under All the Marbles and the California Dolls in 1981. Let's see here. Let's see here. And I think the next one is yours, Mikey. I think that was the last one of mine.
I'm down to two, so I've got my top doc and my top narrative, and then I've got my also ran list. So
Beautiful.
We've already covered. I'll just say this: I was in attendance for one of the events that was taped for Beyond the Mat, which is my number one doc, the ECW Barely Legal pay-per-view, their first pay-per-view, April 13th, 1997. I was there in Philadelphia. So I'm glad to say that I was in attendance for one of the items or one of the events covered in Beyond the Mat. But Beyond the Mat, also for further reference, I think on the DVD release, at least one of the DVD releases, they had a director's commentary with Terry Funk and Mick Foley. So I think the hardcore fans should check that out. So I'll go right into my number one, because you mentioned this one earlier, but this is my number one on the narrative list. It's Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler. I believe it was released in 2008. And this movie, I loved it. And the reason why I love it is because I'm jealous that I didn't make it, first of all, but I openly admit it. And then I say, I think they nailed it. I think a lot of people, Jim Cornette and others, don't like this movie. They think it makes wrestling look Bush League or whatever. But to me, this was a moment in time. This is the post-wrestling boom. This is the early 2000s when wrestling was not in a hot streak. And there was a lot of guys like Jake the Snake or Raven, who are kind of floating around the VFWs and trying to get a paycheck. And I think this movie captured a feeling and captured a lot of truth to what the wrestling scene was like and what a holdover from the 80s boom period was like in the mid-2000s. So, in my opinion,
Absolutely.
this movie nailed it. The comparison of a wrestler and a stripper, how they're both exploiting the body, one sexually, one physically. I thought that made a lot of sense with the romance. The story of the father and the daughter made a lot of sense. So, I do think that Mickey was kind of screwed out of the Academy Award for this one. I think he really should have won the Academy Award for Best Actor.
1,000%. I agree. 1,000%. Yeah, I don't know whether it was a snub at Mickey per se, Mikey, or whether it was a snub at the whole wrestling genre, because Hollywood's always been kind of poo-poo on wrestling. So, because I thought Mickey Rourke did, you're talking about his first major film back, where other than like supporting roles, but his first film where he carried the whole movie, which I thought he did an amazing job of carrying that film. Well, and I agree with you. I think that he should have been at least nominated.
He was nominated.
Well, yeah, but he should have won the damn thing.
Yeah, he was. Well, he was nominated. He didn't win. My feeling is that he lost to Sean Penn, who did an excellent job in a movie titled Milk, about Harvey Milk, the politician.
San Francisco.
But here's where the politics gets involved. I think with Sean Penn's award, it's almost like a body of work because he's done so many great films that he wasn't awarded for. And I think that's one thing that the Oscars tend to do is they don't give you the Oscar for the first great movie you made sometimes. Sometimes you've got to do 2 or 3 or 4, like a Will Smith or like a Denzel Washington or whoever else. You've got to make a series of great films before they give you an Academy Award. And I feel like maybe if Mickey Rourke had followed up The Wrestler with another great performance in a Academy type of movie, maybe he would have won it for that, but he never really did. He kind of faded out.
Yeah. Mikey, we are 8 o'clock straight up. I'm going to hit some commercials right now. Let's pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
Got your coffee mugs lined up, morning pour in your hands. T-shirts fresh off the shelf, books you can hold and scan. Yeah, you know the name. Now you know the name. Bring it back again, grab 1, grab 2, show your crew the proof. Wear it, share it, keep that fella true. Whoa, Mikey and the Mad Dog, say it out loud. Oh, Mikey and the Mad Dog, wear it with pride. Oh, Mikey and the Mad Dog, sip, read, repeat. Mikey and the Mad Dog, that's your kind of treat. Coffee mug by the sink, T-shirt on your back. Book on the table now, got that collector track. One more, pick your favorite thing, fresh off the shelf, let the whole room sing.
You're on a hot date, you're making the cut. You can't be dealing with a faulty left nut. Manscaped is the answer for your gnarly nut sack. Before that babe tells you to hit the road, Jack. In this crazy world of ours, we're often climbing the walls. In all of the confusion, don't forget about your balls. Manscaped to the rescue for your precious crown jewels. Get it today, don't delay. Please be good to your tools.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction or alcohol dependency, help is available. Recovery is possible, and you do not have to face this alone.
If you're tired of fighting shadows in the middle of the night, if you're carrying a burden that's become too much to fight, If the bottle or the needle feels like all that's left to hold, there's a hand that's reaching out to you before the night grows cold. You don't have to walk alone. You don't have to hide the pain. There's a road beyond the darkness. There's a chance to live again. We're one call away, one step, one day from a brand new.
WCBR Radio 88.7 is live and broadcasting around the world from Philadelphia. Tonight, wrestling on film. How is wrestling depicted on film? Well, it's I think Mikey and I have proven it's depicted in a variety of ways, and in some ways, tongue-in-cheek, in some ways quite seriously. My next one, Mikey, is actually a very serious wrestling film. It's about amateur wrestling, and it has a Kurt Angle connection. It's a true story based on Arthur DuPont,
Yes.
the wrestling coach of the Delaware wrestling team, famous member of the even more famous DuPont, political family in Delaware. They basically founded Delaware. It's called Foxcatcher. And it's about the sexual exploitation of a lot of the people that were coached under Arthur DuPont, including at least 2 murders that they know of. And they were only able to convict them on 2. There probably were more. Mike, what do you know about Foxcatcher?
I have started to watch this film and I haven't finished it. I feel bad. I'll have to finish it. I know that Steve Carell from The Office plays the bad guy. And I know that this is a very somber and serious story. And I think, believe it or not, when I watched it, it was so serious and somber that I couldn't get through it the first time. But now, because you've listed it, I am determined to get through it and watch it, even though unfortunately, I know the results. I know what happens, but it's a very disturbing story, and I'm looking forward to seeing the whole movie now.
Yeah, it's quite a serious film. I would encourage people to watch it, but I would also encourage people to be to be with someone you care about when you watch it. I don't recommend watching it alone. It is a disturbing film to watch alone on many different levels. On a physical and emotional level, it's not something you want to watch by yourself.
Right.
The next film that I would like to talk about is a horror film with a wrestling theme, and it's called See No Evil with Kane starring as the menacing bad guy in this film. And it's a WWE film. It's produced by Vince McMahon, is listed as the executive producer. And the writer, and the other producer is Kevin Dunn. You know that name from being I think he was the director, Mikey, if I'm not mistaken. That he directed all of those like Raw episodes, and I think over the years, Kevin Dunn.
Yes.
And you'll recognize the guy who did the music for it, Jim Johnson, who was unceremoniously fired for whatever reason from WWE or just let go. What'd you think of that one, Mikey? See No Evil. Then they did 2 of them.
Well, I saw the first one at the time. I don't remember much of it. I remember not loving it, and I mean, WWE had a series of films: The Marine, The Chaperone with Triple H, and
Yeah.
you know, I've written a couple of wrestling screenplays, and so for me, it's more of an exercise in frustration that some of their scripts didn't really seem to be that great. And it starts with the script.
Yeah.
It always starts with the
Yeah.
script.
You mentioned Triple H. There's an honorable mention film, Mikey, that I'm sure you've seen, and if you haven't, you better see it because it's fucking hilarious. It's called Blade Trinity with Wesley Snipes, and Paul Levesque plays his kind of like enforcer, if you will.
Right.
The funny scene there where I don't want to give away the whole scene, but the way Levesque plays this part is just it's priceless. I really think that Triple H missed his calling. I really do. I think he would have been a much better actor than well, a hell of a wrestler too. But he could certainly use maybe some acting advice to pretend like he knows what he's doing as the CEO of WWE. Maybe you need to teach him. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Triple H. I mean, around 2000, when Triple H was all jacked up, I mean,
Yeah.
he would have been a great movie star, and I think he was vying to play Conan in a remake of Conan, which never happened, because I think at WrestleMania 22 in Chicago, when he came to the ring in kind of a Conan-esque outfit, that was like his audition of sorts to play Conan in the remake. So. Who knows?
Yeah, that would have been interesting. It really would. It certainly would explain his entrances for WrestleMania the last several times, would it not?
Yeah, that's what.
Very, kind of medieval-esque.
Yeah.
What's your next one, Mikey?
Well, my lists are tapped out, but I can name my lists of the unlisted list. There's a couple of movies that people who've been with us. I guess I should list my own movies first. So if people want to look up Wrestling Son, SON with John Cronus and Killer Kowalski, you can find that on my Vimeo page. And also Ox Baker, One of the Boys. That's on my YouTube channel somewhere. Just look for Ox Baker, One of the Boys. It's Ox's last long-form interview. But as far as other movies that have nothing to do with, that I didn't list, Ready to Rumble, the WCW movie, and No Holds Barred, which is the WWF, Vince McMahon, Hulk Hogan, Zeus team. They gave us No Holds Barred in 1989. So while they were providing Zeus and Macho Man Randy Savage against Brutus Beefcake and Hulk Hogan on not one but two pay-per-views in 1989, we were also watching Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair versus Terry Funk and Sting versus Great Muta over in the NWA side of things. So that's why I was an NWA fan back then. No offense to Zeus and Brutus Beefcake.
Right. Exactly.
Those were just a couple of movies, Angelo, that I think a lot of people would assume be on these lists because they're well known. But I didn't care for either one of them in particular, to be honest with you.
Well, I have a couple of films that I think you might enjoy. They're both on my must-see list or go-to list, if you want to call it that. One is called Highlander, and the film opens up with the Fabulous Freebirds.
Yep.
The other is called Spider-Man, and it opens up with Randy Macho Man Savage. Opening scene. And we had Lanny Poffo, God rest his soul, the late Lanny Poffo, Randy's brother, on the show. He talked about that. In fact, when I had him on, he said the one thing that Randy enjoyed more than wrestling was making movies. He really enjoyed the process of making movies, which surprised me because I didn't think Randy Savage liked anything better than pro wrestling. So I want to ask you to do this for me, Mike. You're a method actor, so let's try a little method here. Put yourself in the mindset of a Randy Savage, knowing how he thinks a little bit. Why would you prefer at that point in your career, and just kind of like play suppose on it? Why would you think at that point in your career that you would prefer to do movies rather than what you really are known for?
I think with a guy like Randy Savage, even in his prime, what Randy was good at was promos, and Randy was good with a comeback in a match. He's good with it as a baby face, at least. He's good with a comeback. Randy had energy that was like in fits and spurts. Like the best of Randy Savage was always in like a 30-second or a 1-minute moment. You know what I mean? And I think if you look at his promos, the cream of the crop, and when he took the bell and he jammed Ricky Steamboat, like what Randy was really good at was making memorable moments. And I think when you're in a film, you even more so than a wrestling situation, because in wrestling, you get one take and that's it, right? And for the most part. But with a film, if Randy felt like he didn't deliver the very best buzzsaw that he could in that 30-second scene, he could just say, "Hey, director, let's do another take, brother," and they would give him another take. So I think for Randy, film was where it's at, because he can perform, he can make that magic. He knows. I think the other thing with Randy is he always thrived on the big audience, whether it was WrestleMania 3 or WrestleMania 8 or the big matches in WCW. So for him to know that he's going to be in Spider-Man, and this is going to be people were waiting for decades for that film, Angelo. You know that.
Yeah.
So when he knows that he's going to be in this giant production with a huge audience, and he's got the luxury of doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 takes, I'm sure he loved it. I'm sure he loved it. Makes sense to me.
The next film I have, Mikey, is called. Again, not the normal genre. It's from India. It's a film called Sultan, and it's about. And there were 2 films, by the way, called Sultan. One was called The Sultan. This is called Sultan, and it's about a literal genie from a lamp who ends up, he is what they call in India a jinn, which means like a granter of wishes. And so he becomes this wrestling sultan, as they call him. And he grants wishes. It's an Indian film from India. I believe it was from actually Pakistan, and Pakistan, and it's a wrestling centered story based on this character, the Sultan, the genie.
Right.
And if you haven't seen it, I encourage, if you can sit through it, because it's not subtitled. It is what it is.
Sure.
So, if you have like the capability to like put the closed caption on, you'll have to watch the movie with like a closed captioning. Because what I saw was all in that native language, what I think is called Hindi or Hindi it's called.
Right.
Yeah. There's an honorable mention here, Mikey. It's a film called Kayfabe.
Okay.
It was a feature film, independent feature, but it had a decent budget. It's called Kayfabe, and look around 2007 is what you're going to look for.
All right.
And tell everybody what you got there.
I found a movie with director Michael Raven, stars Aaron Boyes. The TCI CWF is shutting down forever, and these colorful, eccentric, clueless indie wrestlers have one last chance to show the world that they belong in the big leagues. Interesting.
And it's hilarious.
Okay.
Again, it's kind of wrestling, Mikey, poking fun at itself.
Right.
Because they're in the film, what they're giving away terminology that they don't even understand themselves.
Yeah.
For example, the term kayfabe. they don't know what the word kayfabe means.
Right.
They don't know what working a mark is and things like that. It's a funny film.
Okay.
It's wrestling poking fun at itself.
Gotcha.
What do you got next, my friend?
Well, there was a documentary. I feel bad now because I forgot about it until about halfway through our show tonight. And this documentary was about kind of the Mildred Burks and the fabulous mullahs and ladies of that era. And it's called Lipstick and Dynamite. And I remember I had the DVD for this documentary about women's wrestling. It's called Lipstick and Dynamite, The First Ladies of Wrestling. It's a 2004 documentary directed by Ruth Leitman that celebrates the pioneer women of women's pro wrestling, blending personal stories, archival footage, and behind-the-scenes look at the sport's history. They talk about Gladys Killam Gillum, Ida Mae Martinez, Penny Banner, Fabulous Moolah, the great Mae Young, Ella Waldick, among others.
Yep.
And I remember watching this DVD with some non-wrestling friends of mine, people that were just kind of, one toe into the world of wrestling because of me, basically. But they really liked it too. They just liked the fact that it was a story about women in a business that at the time they were not being heavily promoted or heavily cherished as they are now. So that's one that
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mikey. Yeah.
Well, that's one that I scribbled in while we were doing the show. Something you said must have provoked me to remember Lipstick and Dynamite. So I put that down.
We actually had the entire cast on our show here.
Nice.
Everybody except for Mae Young and Moolah.
Right.
I had, and in fact, was Princess Victoria and Judy Martin were quite instrumental in getting everybody on the show for me. The film was called Lipstick and Dynamite, Piss and Vinegar. Was the full name of it. Two of the people we had are no longer with us. Ella Waldenek. I forget how you say it, but it's close enough. And Killam Gillum. Right. Killam Gillum. Let me tell you about Killam Gillum. That woman was a trip. She's as backwoods, as southern, God bless her, as you can possibly get.
Right.
I don't think she ever knew what the city looked like until they literally took her out of her little town.
Right.
And my late friend Red Bastine is also in the film, who was a dear friend of mine. But the Bastine brothers, if you remember Red Bastine and his wrestling brother. We had the cast on our show talking about, at that time, the upsurge in women's wrestling, of which that film was a big part. And they covered the women going to a reunion, a ladies' wrestling reunion in Louisiana. And that one of the people that showed up was kind of a surprise. It was Mildred Burke's ex-husband. His name was Buddy Wolf.
Right.
And Buddy Wolf was, I think at the time, middle 70s, maybe 74, 75, around there, 76. But he didn't live too much past that. Because a lot of the people, in fact, if you check the credit list, Mikey, almost all of them are gone now.
Right.
Almost all of them are gone. But I was very fortunate. That show, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is in our archives. We got somebody in the comments tonight. Who's there? Oh, Ruffian. Hey, Ruff. How long you been hanging out there, brother?
Yeah, no.
Since 8/12. Okay, so he's been here. Ruff, if you're still with me, just let me know if you're still here, brother. Yeah, Ruffian. I just now we got talking about our list. I forgot that. This is what happens, folks. We don't check our chat like we're supposed to. By the way, if you want to help the show financially, we have what's called a super chat. You pay $4, $4.99. You can pay $3.99, $4.99, or $5.99, depending on what level you want to come in at. And I will tell you that we'll appreciate it, Mike, and I will certainly appreciate it. You know, it'll buy me a cup of coffee. It might buy Mikey maybe a new camera lens or something, but you know, look, whatever you guys can do, you know, a couple of bucks. Ruffian, still here he is. Ruff, how you doing, brother? Help us, support us financially, Ruff. We got super chats now. Just telling everybody.
He did.
Ruffian, what's your favorite wrestling movie? Your favorite wrestling movie, Ruff? Ruffian has been one of our regulars for a long time.
He was wondering the movie where Triple H drives the school bus. It's called The Chaperone. We mentioned that.
Chaperone, yes.
Yeah, we mentioned that one earlier, buddy.
Yeah. Now there's another film, Mikey. I don't know if you just while we're throwing things around here for a second. You're familiar with a movie that starred Paul White, The Big Show, called Knucklehead?
I never saw it, but I remember it coming out, and I remember people saying at the time, Angelo, that The Big Show, Paul White, had so much potential. He had so much charisma and likability, and that the WWE would put this guy with all that potential and all that likability and all that size, they would put him in a diaper, or they would put him in a sumo match where he lost at WrestleMania, or they'd have Floyd Mayweather Jr. punch him in the face for real. I mean, that's how they treated Paul White for 20 years. So I don't get it. But yeah, I'm familiar with the movie to answer your question.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, he's more than made up for it now. AEW is treating him very well. Yeah. He signed a multi-million-dollar contract for what he's doing, and he doesn't have to break a sweat.
Right.
And he doesn't have to wrestle if he doesn't want to. Ruffian says They Live is my favorite. There you go. Roddy Piper and Keith David played his counterpart in that. The best fight scene on film, in my opinion, Mikey. What do you say?
I think so, because they're fighting in the alleyway with the dumpster behind them, and they're beating the hell out of each other. So it's a great fight scene. I guess I didn't put They Live down tonight, just so everybody knows, because to me it's not a wrestling movie. It's a movie with a wrestler in it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not
a wrestling movie per se. Yeah, I like
the
movie though.
Exactly. My next film. I will honestly say I saw half of this movie. I didn't, and I fell asleep. I'm sorry, and I put it on my list because I want to finish watching it. It's called Win Win. It's about 2011. And they describe this movie as wrestling being the emotional core or center of this film, which it really is. I wish I had been, not so tired when I decided to watch it, because I lasted about 15 minutes into it and I was dozing into slumberland.
Right.
But Mikey, did you see this film, and what do you think?
I did not see it, so it's another one for me to check out.
Yeah. One back suplex. Yeah, here it goes. He talks about the suplex in that. There you go. He goes, it was a back suplex, so it counts.
Fair enough.
That's funny. That's funny.
Well played.
Mikey, what do you got next?
I'm pretty much run out of choices. I mean, but I'll say one that I mentioned earlier that we didn't talk about too much, but you said it's on one of your lists. Mickey and Maude. I mean, I have a funny story. I was a small child. For some reason, my family, who never really hosted parties, was hosting a New Year's Eve party at our suburban house. And there was a bunch of kids over at my house that I didn't like, and they were harassing our family cat. And all types of things were happening in my house that I did not approve of. My dad must have been having a horrible time as well with all these people in our home, because my dad took me aside and say, "Hey, Mike, let's go see a movie." So we bailed on the party at our own house and left my mother and sister there to host the New Year's Eve party, and we went off for a couple of hours to see Mickey and Maude in the movie theater on New Year's Eve. So lo and behold, it had a wrestling subplot of
There you go.
I believe it's Mickey's father is played by Hardboiled Haggerty.
Haggerty, yep.
Professional wrestler. And you've got Chief Jay Strongbow and Big John Studd, and what's the guy's name? Wildman Jack Curry. And
Oh yeah, Wild Jack Curry. You got Andre the Giant.
yeah.
Who else was in that one, Mikey?
I think that was about it. They didn't have too many guys in it, and Hardboiled did most of the talking. But I remember being a little upset because even at that time, I was upset that they were breaking kayfabe a little bit because they had Andre and Big John Studd kind of talking to each other and getting along instead of being heated rivals. But
Well, brother, if you're upset that they broke kayfabe, then I'm not going to mention the next four. Actually, Mikey, I am going to mention it because you might want to check it out.
sure.
The next four that I have are not filmed; they're all television series,
Okay.
and none of them say AEW or WWE in front of them.
All right.
The first I want to tell you about is on Apple TV. It's called The Monster Factory. And it's literally the famous wrestling school here in New Jersey started by the legendary Pretty Boy Larry Sharp, the late Larry Sharp, who was my dear friend for many, many years till the day he died. That is on Apple TV. On Netflix, you can check out a show called Heels, that's about a wrestling family of baby faces and heels. They have a woman in the family, a sister, that's a wrestler. Check out another show called Wrestlers, and that's on the Vice channel, along with the next show on the Vice channel that's called Dark Side of the Ring, which is in its final incarnation. I believe they're done with it after this season. I believe so. But there's another wrestling television show that maybe we could throw a little mention called The Young Rock.
Oh,
Problem, and I have a problem with this show because it is revisionist history. And it's not what happened. It's what happened in The Rock's own imagination, I suppose. But if you follow wrestling like we have, it's not accurate. It's just not. And there's no other. You can't call The Rock a liar because it's his story from his perspective, but it's just historically not accurate the way they played it out.
I can give an example of that, Angelo, if you don't mind.
Please. Oh no, please do. Absolutely, brother.
This is why I bailed on that show. I have a friend named Kim who's she's a big fan of Young Rock, and as a matter of fact,
Really?
we both acted. He's a really nice guy. The guy that played the Iron Sheik on the Young Rock and I were teammates in a movie called The Roaring Game with Mickey Rourke, and so the guy that played the Iron Sheik is a real nice guy, and he's a great actor. Brett is his name. But this is the problem with that show, The Young Rock. They had a match on that show that supposedly took place in Hawaii on one of these super cards that they did have in Hawaii when the Young Rock was young. Yeah. And they had a match between Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. Okay, good enough. Against Hillbilly Jim and the Nature Boy Ric Flair. So never in the history of 1980s wrestling did Hillbilly Jim, a WWF lifer, team up with Ric Flair, the NWA World Champion in 85, 86, or 87.
Never happened, folks.
So it's just that's such a thing where, Angelo, I really respected the idea of Young Rock, but like you said, historically inaccurate to the point of frustrating to watch as a fan, because with just one person like yourself or me or Evan Ginsberg just being there to correct these inaccuracies. It felt disrespectful to professional wrestling and disrespectful to history. And I know what I said about Chris Von Erich, and I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here, but with Young Rock, I felt like they were just misleading the non-wrestling fans into some type of fever dream of lies. So I'm with you, Angelo.
Yeah. Mikey, tomorrow night we got to tell our people that we are doing yet night number 2 of revisiting our wrestling roots. Tomorrow night, the round table, we're going to discuss all the promotions, all the shows, what's happening in the national promotions, international. We'll see who survived the cut. I'll be honest with you. I remember a time there was MLW and Ring of Honor and a bunch of other independents. I don't know if any of them are still around anymore, to be honest with you.
Some of them.
Yeah, we'll talk about them tomorrow. Mikey, we got the merch to sell people. Tell everybody what you're trying to push over here.
Well, Ko-fi is a website where you can support me and others. It's ko-fi.com/MMA for Mike Messier Art. I post my films, Wrestling Sons on there. You can follow me for either free, or you can pay a monthly fee, or you can even buy my art through there on a subscription plan. And then my novel, Fight or Play Basketball, is here. This is available on Audible as an audiobook, and it's also available on hardcover and softcover. And I'll just mention those two things. I don't want to overdo it, but Fight or Play Basketball, if people get that, they can get it through Hoopla. They can get it through Barnes & Noble and Amazon. I really appreciate it. And I guess
absolutely. You guys can reach Mike Messier at Mike Messier Movie Maker at gmail.com. I'm sorry, at MikeMessier.com, right, Mike?
Well, you had it right. It's Mike Messier Movie Maker at gmail.com is my email.
Oh, I was right the first time. There you go.
Right. And MikeMessier.com is the website.
Yes, it's Mikey's website. And I have that right here as well. And by the way, folks, you can also get a hold of Mikey at WTBR.podbean.com. Mike's full website is there as well as mine. Our information and our individual information. You can find out about Mikey and the Mad Dog, the show. You can find out about Mikey and the Mad Dog as individual people. You can also look for this coming soon. WTBR.FM is coming soon. That will be our new web address. I have secured that address. So I'm going to, now that I have the full site up, we're going to be moving everything over to WTBR.FM, which I think is a hell of a lot easier to remember than WTBR.podbean.com.
Very good.
And it just looks better.
Yeah, it's a cool looking
better.
The website address is cool.
Yeah. And I am the Mad Dog. Just call me Angelo, or you can call me Mad Dog, or just Hey You. Everything's all good. You can reach me at What's the Buzz Podcast at gmail.com. And whatever you need, show ideas you want to suggest, make a critique, whatever you guys want to do, just let us know. We're not hard to find. We're really, really not hard to find. But we will be here tomorrow. Lord willing and the creek don't rise. We'll be here tomorrow night. As Papa DeCipio always said, tomorrow's promised to no one. So make today count. Be good to somebody. On that note, for Mike, the Movie Maker Messier, I am Angelo, the Mad Dog DeCipio. Be good to each other. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow night, folks. Take care.